dropped off Kaylee with the in-laws, and as you just saw, we cleaned house, which let me tell you, goes so incredibly faster without a little one running around and tugging at you and wanting to do everything. So house was a disaster. Like I said a couple of days ago, I can't keep up while I was sick, so we got it cleaned, and now we are headed out. We're going on a little trip, so we're going to be gone for a couple of nights, and I'm really looking forward to just some relaxation. But that is not the main reason that we are headed out of town, and I will share what we're going to do in this video, but I want to tell you a little bit of my backstory, and that is my infertility story, and then I'm sure by the end of that you'll be able to guess what we're doing the next couple of days. So I know that when I put up my pregnancy announcement on YouTube, it alluded to fertility treatments that we had done, and then I probably spoke a little bit about it in my, I have a first trimester overview on my channel as well, and but I don't know how much detail I went into in that, and so I thought it would be a good time just to share with you our story and our fertility journey. So let's just start when we decided to have kids. We tried for an entire year to get pregnant with no success. And then about the year mark, I had an excruciating side pain that sent me to the ER. And when we got to the ER, we were told that I had a very large cyst on my ovary. At the time, it was quite scary because we were sent to an oncologist to have surgery to remove it. And the reason for the oncologist was because they were not able to tell what that cyst was until they removed it and were able to actually look at it and test it. So for precautionary reasons, we had to go to an oncologist. So it was a pretty scary time for me. I just prayed a lot and had a lot of faith that it wasn't anything serious, and that it was benign, and it still was, you know, obviously it was very worrisome when you're going to an oncologist, and it was just a weird, almost out-of-body experience to be in that office. But we had surgery to remove it. The doctor treated it as if it were cancer, just in case, which means I have a very large incision on my abdomen. He wasn't able to make a small incision because he said he wanted to be able to get out the cyst completely intact, and make sure that if it were cancer, that it didn't spread anywhere when he removed it. So it needed to be completely intact, and it was a very large cyst. So I have a very large vertical incision on my abdomen. He removed the cyst. My cyst was actually, it completely just overtook my right ovary, and he said it was the size of a baby's head. So that was pretty shocking, and because of how large it was and that it just took over, I had to have my ovary and fallopian tube removed on the right side. You are still able to get pregnant and have children with one ovary or one fallopian tube removed. It's still completely possible, but through this surgery, we found out that what caused the cyst and what was all in my uterus was endometriosis. And he burned a lot of the endometriosis away and cleaned up as best that he could in there. But endometriosis is just one of those things. There's no cure. There's no way to stop it. You can slow it down. But one of the things that slows it down the most is pregnancy. So anyway, after I was healed from the surgery, we immediately went to a fertility doctor, and his suggestion to us was that with my case and my level of endometriosis, that I would need to do IVF. And at the time, I was completely terrified to do IVF. I just thought of all of the shots and medications and how it just seemed so drastic at the time, because I wasn't even, in my head I was going to have have the surgery, have the cyst removed, and then we would get pregnant naturally. So I really wasn't even prepared to go to the fertility doctor. But then when we got there, I just wasn't prepared for IVF either. And if you're unfamiliar with the terminology, IVF is in vitro fertilization. And what we decided to do at the beginning was to try a less dramatic procedure called an IUI. It's basically just artificial insemination, and it costs a whole lot less. It's a whole lot less invasive, just one shot as compared to many. And we tried IUI once and then twice. Neither one of them worked, and we decided at that time that it would be best for us just to not waste any more of our money on IUIs that have a very low percentage of success, and to just invest in IVF that has a much higher success rate and would be more worth our money at the time, especially since our doctor said that he thought we would probably need it anyway in order to become pregnant. We did our round of IVF. To be completely honest, it wasn't nearly as bad as I had made it out to be in my mind. Of course, I am very afraid of needles. The shots weren't any fun. I was completely unable to give myself any shot. My husband Greg had to give me every single shot that I had to take. So if you don't know anything about IVF, they go in and do a procedure to retrieve your eggs, and that is when that they fertilize them with your husband's sperm and then see how many fertilize and grow and are normal. We were incredibly fortunate enough to have several excellent quality fertilized embryos, which means that we got to freeze some, and so that we got to freeze some embryos for future procedures, which is such a blessing. It's what I prayed so hard for during this process, because that means I don't have to go through the whole procedure over again in order to get embryos. I have some that are frozen and ready for future use. So I'm sure that you can guess by now what we are doing. But anyway, that first IVF, they put in a fresh embryo, one that was not frozen, and it did not take. And that was probably one of the biggest heartbreaks that Greg and I have ever had. And we found out just, I think, a week before Christmas. It might have been 5 days before Christmas that we were not pregnant after all of this, after all the fertility treatments and trying. It was truly heartbreaking. And so after that, we took a month off. We just, we didn't try to have a baby. We didn't do any fertility treatments. We just took a month off, got our minds right to get started back again. So then after taking a month off, we started medications in order to do a frozen embryo transfer. And they could not get my medications quite right to get my body where it needed to be. And so it delayed us another month or two. I can't remember how much it set us back. So that was just another setback after finding out we weren't pregnant, but we were still pushing through. We wanted to get it right and have the best possible chance in order to get pregnant. So shortly after that, it was about April. So it took from December and finding out we weren't pregnant all the way till April to do a frozen embryo transfer. And we are thrilled to say that Kaylee is the product of that frozen embryo transfer. She is our snowflake baby. We were beyond thrilled, excited, and thankful to God that He finally gave us our miracle baby. And she was born actually very hot-natured, and we always joke that it's because she's used to being frozen. She's used to the extremely cold environment and weather, so she's our little hot-natured snowflake baby. But we have some embryos left, and I'm just gonna leave it between our family exactly the number of embryos that we have left, because I mean, some things are pretty personal, but I will say that it is not an extravagant amount of embryos. It is a number in which we feel that we are going to give every single embryo a chance to be born because of our religion. We feel that those embryos are our children, and we treat them as such. Now, I know that not everybody is in the position to have a large amount of children. Not everybody is in the position where they have a very large number of frozen embryos that they could have each one of those children, but there are options to donate your embryos to couples in need. But we just feel personally that we don't want to just throw them away as if they aren't, you know, I don't think they're people yet, but to us personally, they're our children. They're special to us, especially after knowing who Kaylee is and what she's becoming. I'm gonna cry. We are in the position to give each one of these embryos a chance at life, and so that is what we intend to do. I think that donating them to couples in need who cannot possibly have a baby is a wonderful thing. If just for us personally, I can't imagine a world in which a child that is part of me and part of Greg is out there and we don't know them. We don't know about them. We don't know what they look like, their personality, and like I said, it's simply because we have a decent amount of embryos that we would be able to give each one a chance that we are going this route. So we feel incredibly fortunate. So that's what we're doing. We're headed to our fertility doctor, and we will actually do a frozen embryo transfer tomorrow. So I don't think it's completely hit me yet. I think it's having a toddler that it's been completely different this time around. It just hasn't sunk in yet that we are trying for baby number 2. Like, I really can't wrap my mind around it. And I don't think until we get a positive pregnancy test will it really hit me, because I think we're just so busy and taking care of Kaylee. It just isn't gonna hit me until I see a positive pregnancy test. So I'm really excited because we're gonna get a little bit of alone time. After you do an embryo transfer, you have to be on bed rest and laying down for 24 full hours. And since our fertility doctor is so far away from our home, we're not able to drive back home, so we have to get a hotel. So we actually have to get a hotel, and I have to stay on bed rest for 24 hours, which if you have a toddler, then you know that sounds like the most amazing vacation that you've ever taken. And so we fully intend to take advantage of it. I know that the hotel that we're going to has like the newest releases and movies that haven't been released yet that you can rent, and we plan on just binge watching every movie that we haven't gotten to see, because you know that we don't get to go to the movie theater anymore hardly ever. So we're just gonna put our feet up and watch movies and order room service and relax. Tonight we're gonna go out to dinner to one of my favorite restaurants, and then tomorrow will be all of the procedure and bed rest, and then we'll come home the next day and get Kaylee. So that is what's going on today. I know that was a really long story in order to get to that point, but for now we're just going to be on the road for a while, and I know I look like crap, but I'm going to get ready for dinner once we get to the hotel.
Got a lot of editing to do.
Greg just said I had a whole lot of editing to do. I'm over here just hacking and coughing. This is your public service announcement. Stop whatever you're doing and go to Starbucks and get their new Snickerdoodle hot cocoa. I forgot my socks. I had to wear Greg's. I haven't worn socks like these since middle school. Only in middle school. What did we do? We scrunched them and then wore them with cheerleading shoes. And a little outfit of the night. The lips are Bite Beauty and Nori, the ones I swatched yesterday. My Bobble Bar Choker, that is my absolute favorite. This off-the-shoulder top is Forever 21, and then I'm wearing some high-waisted black pants from Topshop. And then my boots are Vince. So that is tonight's outfit for dinner. We are headed to a restaurant called Three Forks. It's a steakhouse and it is one of my absolute favorites. I'm a steak and potatoes kind of girl, and so steak is probably my favorite meal. And the cream corn here is homemade. It is to die for. What do you love the most about it?
It's just got to be the steak. It's the most tender, juicy steak ever.
Last glass for hopefully 9 months. So I went into one of the restaurants here in the hotel just to order my favorite dessert. This is caramel pudding. I know that doesn't sound very great, but there's like candied pecans on top of it. I'm sorry, my videos keep cutting off at random times. My camera has been dying on me all day long. It's driving me crazy. But anyway, here is my caramel pudding. It's topped with like candied pecans. I'm not much of a pudding lover, but this caramel pudding is one of my absolute favorite desserts of all time. And I'm just about to do some editing, and then I think we're going to start a movie. So we're going to call it a night, and if you happen to watch this really late tonight or early in the morning, just say a little prayer for us as we go through this procedure, and we are crossing our fingers for baby number 2. We'll see you tomorrow. Bye.